So Sandy, Beverly Hills, what were your highlights from Beverly Hills?
I really liked the back and forth sniping between Dorit and Sutton. So it was kind of like across the episode. And at first, it started off with a very kind of catty chat between Kyle and Dorit and, oh my gosh.
Crystal was there?
Yeah, Crystal.
Well?
Yeah. Crystal was like trying to tone it down and not partaking in that. But Dorit just kind of pulls out like, well, Sutton's pretty weird as they were discussing with the interaction with Kyle, which I admit was pretty weird. And that's why we love our Sutton.
Yeah.
But then she just seems like someone that's probably drinking vodka in the morning with her coffee. And I'm like, okay, like, I don't know. That just came out of nowhere. And I'm very defensive about Sutton. And like, I just felt, and then they were just kind of making fun of her. And then, Crystal came to her defense, at least in her talking head, if not in the actual conversation. But then Sutton gets something in later, which is regarding the scene with her matchmaker, and she's brought Dorit over to help her with that. And she says, if Dorit fell in love with PK, maybe I need to not be so picky. And I was like, good, you got your point in. But then later, Dorit, and again, honestly, I don't even remember the context of this, but I just wrote down that she accused Sutton of not being self-aware. Maybe it was within the dating discussion. And I mean, there's different levels of self-awareness for all these ladies. I don't know if I would peg Dorit as like the most self-aware housewife. So I thought that was a little hypocritical. Yeah. And that's just like a real, like, that's a kind of a cutting insult too, right? It's sort of like a personality insult. So anyway, I'm very defensive of Sutton, and I didn't love Dorit insulting her, but I did love Sutton insulting Dorit.
Yeah. So first that scene at Kyle's or Dorit's, I can't remember whose place it was at with Crystal. I thought that was like a clear setup from Kyle and Dorit, and Crystal didn't realize that she was walking into this scene where the full purpose of this was to get it on camera in front of someone else talking shit about Sutton and like putting it out there that she struggles with like alcohol, maybe like just put that speculation out there. And I think Crystal is like, she's smart, maybe she doesn't have the most like smarts in terms of how to play the housewife game, but she's like a smart person. And I feel like she got the read on that situation. And like you said, she was trying to tone it down, especially in her confessional surrounding it. But I feel like she also did that in the moment, which I was excited to see. I have really been liking Crystal this season, so to see her be like kind of temper down that conversation and make sure that she was not like going in on that, because for two housewives like Dorit and Kyle, who are a lot more experienced than Crystal. I mean, this is Crystal's third season now, but still, like, Kyle and Dorit have more under their belt, and they play the game way more. It felt to me like it was a trap, and it wasn't just to like set up Sutton in a certain position. It was to force Crystal to be on their side so that, you know, so that they would have this like leverage over her, where it's like, well, you were being catty too. You were talking shit about Sutton too. Like, you need to like go along with our crew. You need to roll with us, because otherwise, you know, you're not going to have Sutton to fall back on, because you were, you know, laughing about this and playing along too. But Crystal didn't play ball with them, so they don't have that. And, you know, like everything in this game is a calculated risk that you have to take. So they had to put this out there. They needed to like expose their cards in order to potentially like hook her in there. And it didn't work. So Crystal now has this information that, you know, they are talking shit about Sutton, and she can use that however she wants. And you know, they can't say like, well, you were joking about it too, because she wasn't. So I thought that this was a very like nuanced scene, and I've said like on the past episode so far, I'm just like really appreciating what is happening on Beverly Hills right
Mhm.
now, because I think we're getting like a lot of interesting things, both from a storytelling perspective, from like a game perspective. Yeah, I loved seeing this, like this classic housewife trap of like bringing some unsuspecting housewife in to like be catty with in order to try to deteriorate at a relationship that they've got, both like directly by like talking shit about it to them, but also indirectly by like creating leverage of being in this situation where like, hey, you were talking shit about this too, so you're like, you don't have the higher ground here. So yeah, love that scene.
Yeah, that was awesome. Another thing that I was really interested in, obviously the weed dinner was interesting in a few levels. Obviously I want to talk about the Sutton Kyle stuff, but one little thing to note, like I was interested that Kyle jokingly brought up the dinner party from hell, that famous thing that they flash back to, I think, from when Alison Dubois, the psychic, was at that dinner years ago. And Kyle was like jokingly bringing up what Alison said, which is a little weird because like Alison was dead on. Like she said, your husband will never emotionally fulfill you. I mean, I can't say the details of their breakup, but they're breaking up now. And I'm sure at this point, Kyle knows enough that there's something that, she's having troubles in her marriage. So I was interested that she sort of frivolously brought that up when it really is actually feels like quite a, I don't know, weighty thing to bring up, that this psychic actually predicted this 10 years ago. So obviously you could say anyone might have a divorce in 10 years. So, but I just thought it was interesting that she brought it up as a joke.
Yeah, it is interesting. And I think like, I feel like Kyle was like putting that out there because she wanted her marriage to be a topic of conversation for some reason. And I think that motivation would be different depending on, who was going to like take the bait. And I feel like she knew that it was going to be Sutton that was going to like jump on that because of what Sutton has been saying. But I'm curious what you think about like how Sutton and Kyle converse, like how they address each other.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if I'm like fully formed, but it's like they're both reading each other, but they're also not they're not like they're adversarial, but I don't know, I just like Sutton's right, there's something going on. Kyle maybe doesn't want to talk about it or secretly does or whatever, but Sutton won't let it go. I don't know. It's certainly compelling, and they certainly seem to not be finding a peaceful middle ground, which we love. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? I'm interested to hear yours.
Yeah, this is probably the most interesting thing about Kyle for me this season. It's not so much her relationship with Morgan or Mo, but it is how she is like, I don't know, both Sutton and Kyle are projecting onto each other. And I think that like Crystal had a really good assessment. I think it was Crystal, or maybe it was Annemarie. Someone was like, you both are talking like at each other. You're not saying anything. And I think that's exactly the read. They're both kind of repeating the same things. They're like repeating these ideas that they have about each other, but they're not like saying anything. They're not communicating what they want of the other. And it's more about them, just like emoting at each other without making any ground. So I thought that was it's interesting how they talk, and I don't see how they are going to progress without having some like tangible concrete thing to actually argue over. Like it feels like the type of conversation that needs a winner. Like how sometimes you can be like, if you're arguing with someone, like whether it's like online in the conversation in a conversation or something like that, and it just feels like someone is not going to let it go unless they win. That's what it feels like. It feels like someone needs to feel like a winner, and they both need that. And there's no way that can happen because I don't think they even know what they want from each other.
And I don't know how much we care about like the pretense of their real legitimate friendship. They keep talking about how like this conversation is worth continuing because I care about Sutton as a friend and vice versa. But like, I don't think you guys actually like each other very much. Maybe like I get it. And does that matter? I mean, how many of these people actually like each other? It depends on the show, right? But they definitely talk about this friendship being worth saving. So I have to keep yelling, my views at this person and then back talking them. So kind of typical, but I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah. And I was actually under the impression, like going into this season, that Sutton and Kyle had like a real world foundation for their friendship. I don't know if Kyle was the one that brought Sutton on, but I seem to remember, didn't Sutton live in like Kyle's guest house for a while during the divorce or something? So I thought that there was some sort of real world foundation there, but it definitely, maybe that's why this is such like a messy dialogue between them, is because there's history that complicates this, and it's more like, a frustration with each other that isn't tangible. But Kyle is fighting so dirty, in my opinion. The fact that she's like, oh, I think she might have an alcohol problem, or like she also implied that Sutton has like an eating disorder, and like real like digs, like really emotional digs that are happening here. So this feels really like an honest emotional dynamic between the two that we're getting on screen, which is a real contrast to me between the dynamic that we see with Kyle and Mauricio, where I feel like they aren't like, they're trying really hard to put up a bit of a front that it's not working. Like, we see their relationship in a deteriorated state, even though it seems like they're trying to maintain this idea that things are, maybe not great, but still okay. And they're using like this idea of Kyle getting tattoos as like an allegory for their relationship, like her putting marks on her body, like chipping away at the person that she was for all those years with Mauricio. I think that is like fascinating in its own way, and it's interesting to see it play out as kind of a contrast between the relationship that she's got with Sutton.
That's a good point. And side note, him calling her Love Bean is like gag. Love Bean. And I've never heard him call her that before. I've never noticed. But he's pulled out Love Bean, like he just says it every sentence in this season. I was like, oh, really trying to spice up the romance, not working. I don't know. Desperate attempt. I don't
know. Did you have any other highlights from Beverly Hills?
I think that was mostly it. I just thought it was interesting how Garcelle jumped in to kind of up the firepower on Sutton's attack of Kyle, which was kind of not going anywhere because she just kept saying, is there something you want to share? And then Garcelle's like, about your marriage, like, and just kind of like pushed the rock over the cliff there. So I just thought that was kind of good because Garcelle's a character that like I like her, but I kind of am on the fence on how like good of a housewife she is. I guess we probably talked about this in the past, but she has her moments where she just kind of bluntly pushes things forward, and that's useful. So
yeah, like generally kind of like a passive force on the show, just like she's there and has kind of peripheral drama, like I guess last season with Erika, like Erika had such a dominant storyline, and Garcelle did have some drama with her relating to her family, and but it's always kind of like sidelines, and we don't see her actively engaging in situations like this typically. So it was really good to see Garcelle kind of jump in. I also like Crystal's another person that I feel like never really takes a front row seat, and I think that I'm really loving what she's bringing this season. We even got her like a very rare moment of Crystal stirring the pot at this dinner where she's like, before we eat, does anyone want to clear the air about anything? Like, clearly knowing that she's just brought Sutton and Kyle in from having a tense conversation, and it's like, yeah, does anyone have anything they want to talk about in front of the group?
Nice.
Really, really love that.
Before none of us get high.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everyone was taking, I think the highest dosage was like 5 or micrograms or something like that.
Did Kyle end up having any? Because remember, she was like afraid about being hypocritical, but she's also hosting a weed dinner. Do we know what she had?
Right. I think she didn't, but I'm not sure.
Might have a weed dinner. It doesn't seem like the crowd that wants to have a weed dinner.
Yeah, clearly it was not. Yeah, I think we covered most of my highlights. I think we have to talk about the maybe not friends of, but the supporting cast at this dinner was really strong. The fact that we got Denise Richards coming back, Faye Resnick, Camille Grammer, like this was an all-star dinner that happened. And Denise, she gives off like vibes. I'm gonna like play Kyle here a little bit, but like she gives off vibes that she is on something. Like she does not seem like she's completely lucid.
Yeah. I did feel like all the clips of her crazy face were like overblown in the sort of previews I saw on Instagram. Once I saw it for real, I was like, okay, it's just one moment. But yeah, she feels a little something. So
yeah, it's even like not so much the faces, and I did get this impression when she was like a full-time cast member. It's like just like very like cracky vibes to how she talks, and she like, I don't know, it's something about it is just like really off. I don't think we'll ever know, at least on Housewives, because I don't see her coming back, but maybe we'll see something play out. The other thing that I want to bring up is like we got the first like substantial appearance of Morgan on this, and I'm curious what your thought about this relationship or potential relationship between Kyle and Morgan looked like.
So after this, I just Googled, because I'm like, where was this all at? 'Cause there's so many rumors they were dating, they were seen together, whatever. They're not dating in any official way, right? Like Morgan has a boyfriend or partner, some other singer or something. I mean, I don't even know what to say. It was kind of cool to see them together after all the hype. I'd never heard of Morgan Wade, but I like looked her up, looked at the video that Kyle was in where she plays her love interest. That's fun. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say she has more chemistry with Morgan than Mauricio at this time, as everyone was saying. I would certainly stand by that, but I don't know. Like, at this point, I'm not even up on like, do we think that like Kyle is bisexual and pursuing her? Like, where is it all at? I don't even know. I don't know. Are they just friends?
I don't know what the speculation is online about that, but to me, this did not seem like it was purely platonic. Like they had, first off, they did have like such a flirty vibe, but Morgan let Kyle like tattoo her like with a K. Like, I don't know. That's obviously Morgan does not have a sentimental perspective on tattoos, which I think like that's very common when you've got lots of tattoos. It's just like it doesn't matter as much, but also like you have to know how that is going to come across when you're doing that on camera on a show, when you've got all this speculation. It just seems very direct, and yeah, I don't know. It gave off like very like lovey-dovey vibes.
But genuine, because I mean, Kyle's a person that I wouldn't put it past her to sort of hype up that stuff, right? To get headlines. Not to say it could be genuine. It could be genuine to some degree. I think she leaned into it, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And maybe, but I don't know. I don't have a hard read on that, but it's cool to see her with someone else. Like I like Kyle's trajectory. I like her like transformation. Sounds like we're going to hear a whole bunch more about her friend who committed suicide and how that's been affecting her. And I saw some comment where she said that everyone knew about that, but it hasn't been on camera yet. So that's some editing choices happening there for story. So anyway, I just think it's all very interesting, and I'd be interested to see if Morgan stays as a character. She said that like she stalked Morgan online and that's how they became friends. So that shows a dynamic. You don't do that every day to just a random friend. That shows like a level of interest that might be more than just friends. So I don't know. It's fun, I guess. I'm interested in it.
Yeah, totally. Let's briefly talk about Annemarie, who was going into the season supposed to be a full-time housewife, and now there's speculation that she is not going to be because her husband is facing sexual assault allegations. But we got the first appearance of her at this dinner. Crystal has like a confessional where she says that bitch is nosy, which I thought was really, really funny. What did you think about Annemarie at this dinner?
Honestly, I don't recall anything super standing out. She made, as you said, she did that read on Kyle and Sutton, which I think was accurate and helpful, but I don't really have any strong opinions on that, to be honest. Do you?
Yeah, I think aside from that, she was pretty like transparent. She didn't really give much, but I'm curious to see what her, how she evolves this season and whether she is going to get her diamond or not.
Mm-hmm.
Let's quickly go through the housewives and give them a score. Sandy, what do you think about Garcelle?
I give Garcelle a 5 because she made that comment at the dinner and pushed it forward.
Yeah, I'm going to give her a 5 as well. I think that's fair. We didn't see much of her outside of that, but that's that was good. How about Sutton?
I give Sutton a 10. Love Sutton. She's bringing it all the time.
Yeah, I'm going to give Sutton a 9. I think that she has been fantastic so far, leaving a little room for growth there. Erika?
1. I don't remember. Was she even in this episode?
I think we saw her. Well, she was at the dinner for sure, but I don't think we saw any. Oh, we got a scene between her and her like new talent manager, but I think that's about it. Like we kind of got the implication that her old talent manager leaked something about Kathy.
Yeah, I give her a 1 for this episode.
Yeah, I'm gonna give her a 1 as well. Dorit
can have an 8. I don't like her, but she's being snarky to people, and an 8, maybe a 7. I'll give her a 7.
Okay, that's in line with what I'm going to do, a 7 as well. I thought that it was really, she played a part in Kyle's trap, and also I thought that showing up to Sutton's like matchmaking thing with like the worst intentions was really good. So I like that. How about Crystal?
Crystal can have a 5 for not falling in that trap we discussed and the comment at the dinner.
All right. I'm tempted to give Crystal a 7, and I think I'm going to do that. I just really have been seeing some growth from her. So yeah, not falling into the trap and being a little bit messy at dinner and trying to stir things up. Just really appreciating the trajectory that she's on. Okay, Kyle.
Kyle can have a 9. She's bringing it as well. She's working hard this whole season.
Yeah, I think I I am going to give her a 9 as well. I was debating between whether I give her a 10 or not, but on par with Sutton is where I think she should live in my rankings. I was going to say we should rate Annemarie. We didn't really see much of her, but yeah, let's just give her a score.
I'll give her a 2.
2? Okay, I'll give her a 2 as well. I do think that that read was good, but she's gonna have to bring it.